There's been no official findings yet on who exactly was behind the chemical attack, which of course sparked America's appetite for war. And while Washington accuses President Assad of being responsible, some Westerners who were inside the country at that time challenge this notion. And my colleague Bill Dod spoke to Belgian writer Pierre Piccinin. He came to Syria originally under the rebels' protection, though quickly found himself deep inside their detention.
I don't think Bashar al-Assad and the Syrian government are to blame for the chemical attack in Ghouta. During that time, my Italian friend and I had been taken hostage by jihadists from the Al-Farouk group in Syria. We were held at one point in a room facing an office of the Free Syrian Army and the Al-Farouk jihadist group. We have been in the barracks of the Free Syrian Army and of the Al-Farouk jihadist group as well, and we heard a conversation from this office. The conversation was between one general from the Free Syrian Army. We knew him from earlier, as he was the one who was in charge of our detention, and another officer from the Farouk Brigade. There was also a third person who was speaking perfect English, and they were talking to him via Skype. They were talking about the events of Ghouta in the Damascus suburb, and from the conversation it was clear that the Syrian government wasn't behind the attack.
Was it clear to you what the motivation was to use chemical weapons to launch a gas attack on civilians in this way? What was the motivation, do you think? Was it mentioned?
Their motivation wasn't clear from the conversation, but we figured that it would have been absurd for the Syrian government to use chemical weapons. The regime had nothing to gain from the Ghouta massacre. On the contrary, it played into the hands of its enemies, the US, France, and the UK. It gave them a good reason to use force against the Assad government. Either the Syrian government lost its mind, but I don't believe that, or the authors of the attack are the opposition. And it is clear that the rebels are the ones who wanted to benefit from the situation. Let us remind you that the rebels already tried to simulate a gas attack a year ago in Homs. They made a video showing people on the ground acting as if they had been victims of neurotic gas.